Man, sometimes NASCAR weeks just hit different. You sit down expecting a normal race week, standard storylines, routine build up to the next cup race, nothing out of the ordinary. But then, out of nowhere, everything shifts. Two completely different stories start shaking up the garage at the same time. One involves lineup changes that could seriously impact what we see on track this weekend. The other comes from a cup driver who decided to be brutally honest about something drivers usually complain about but rarely say out loud like this. And the way he said it, it immediately got people talking all across the NASCAR world. On the surface, these two stories don't seem connected at all, but together, they say a lot about where the Cup Series is right now. One side of the garage is dealing with constant movement, tough decisions, and lineup changes inside a top team. The other side is all about attitude. One driver basically saying, "Stop complaining and just go race." So today, we've got two major NASCAR stories to break down, and both are sparking real conversations among fans this week. Before we get into it, if you're a true NASCAR fan and you actually enjoy breaking down the sport beyond just highlights, hit the like button and subscribe. NASCAR Central Race is still a new channel, and the goal is simple: build a real community of NASCAR fans who don't just watch highlights, but follow every storyline as it develops. Now let's get into the first big story. The opening headline comes from the lineup changes confirmed after the Phoenix race. And if you've been following the 2026 season closely, you've probably noticed something unusual. There hasn't been a single race this year with the exact same entry list. Every weekend, something has shifted somewhere in the field. That trend continues heading into the Penzo 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. But this time, there's a twist. There will be 0 open cars in the field. Every entry will be a chartered car. That might not sound huge at first, but it actually ties into something historic we saw recently. Last year in 2025, the first Las Vegas race became the first Cup Series event ever with 0 part-time drivers in the field. And now in 2026, we're seeing a very similar setup again, fully locked in, fully chartered entries only. One reason for that shift is Richard Childress Racing, who will not be fielding their open entry this weekend. RCR had been the only team running an open car in the last 2 races. They entered the number 33 Chevrolet at Circuit of the Americas, and again at Phoenix Raceway. At COTA, the car was driven by Jesse Love from the O'Reilly Auto Parts series. Then at Phoenix, it was Austin Hill behind the wheel. The plan all along was that the number 33 would show up at select races throughout the season, but Las Vegas is not one of them. So that's the first major change going into this weekend. But the second one is the one that really grabbed attention across the garage, because it involves Hendrick Motorsports. Hendrick confirmed that Justin Allgaier will be driving the number 48 Chevrolet this weekend, stepping in for Alex Bowman once again. And at this point, the situation is starting to raise some real concerns. Bowman originally ran the race at Circuit of the Americas, but during the final stage he pulled himself out due to serious symptoms. It was later confirmed he was dealing with vertigo. Since then, Hendrick has been managing the situation race by race. At COTA, Matt Snyder filled in during the closing laps. At Phoenix, Anthony Alfredo took over the seat. And now at Las Vegas, it's Justin Allgaier stepping in. What makes it even more interesting is that Bowman was initially listed on the entry list for both Phoenix and Las Vegas before these last-minute changes were made. What makes this situation even more interesting is that Bowman was originally listed on the entry list for both Phoenix and Las Vegas. That suggests Hendrick Motorsports was still holding on to hope that he might recover in time. But right now, there's still no official timetable for his return. And when you zoom out, that's where things start to look a little concerning. After this weekend, Bowman will have missed multiple races in 3 of the last 5 seasons. That's never a position any driver wants to be in, especially in a championship system like NASCAR, where every single race can shape playoff hopes, momentum, and season-long points battles. Now, shifting focus to Justin Allgaier because Hendrick clearly trusts him in these situations. This won't be his first time stepping into a Hendrick-powered car. Back in 2020, he filled in for Jimmy Johnson at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Then in 2024, he stepped in for Kyle Larson at Charlotte. And more recently, Allgaier has been getting Cup-level experience as well, driving the Daytona 500 for JR Motorsports in both 2025 and 2026. So heading into Las Vegas, it's Justin Allgaier behind the wheel of the number 48 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet once again. And fans are definitely going to be watching this closely because every race Bowman misses starts to matter more. Not just for points, but for momentum, consistency, and eventually playoff eligibility later in the season. Now, the second story today is completely different, but it's also sparked a lot of debate across NASCAR fans. This one involves Noah Gragson. Gragson is 27 years old, and in 2026, he's driving the number 4 Ford for Front Row Motorsports. This week, he was featured in the Athletics 12 Questions interview series with NASCAR insider Jeff Gluck. If you follow NASCAR media, you already know this series. It's where drivers answer fan-style questions and then leave one for the next driver in line. The question Gragson received came from Cup rival Christopher Bell, and it was about something fans and drivers constantly debate: how the super speedway package should be fixed. That topic never really goes away in NASCAR. Between aero packages, pack racing, and fuel-saving strategies, there's always something being discussed. But Gragson's response immediately stood out. He basically said, "What's wrong with it? Why are we always trying to fix everything?" In his words, "We already have what we have, so just go race." Jeff Gluck followed up and brought up fuel saving, another thing drivers often criticize on super speedways. But Gragson doubled down. He said, "If you manage fuel better than the cars around you, you deserve the advantage. If you do it right, you end up in front after the final green flag pit stop. Simple as that." Then he took it a step further. Gragson pointed out that sometimes drivers complain about racing styles simply because they aren't strong in those specific disciplines. He admitted he's not the best road course racer. Another driver might struggle at super speedways. But instead of asking NASCAR to change the rules, he believes the focus should be on improving as a driver. He even joked that it would be like him asking NASCAR for a bigger spoiler at road courses, just because he struggles there. His message was clear: adapt, improve, and race what's in front of you instead of constantly pushing for rule changes. He also simplified fuel strategy in a way that actually makes sense. If you use less throttle than the cars around you, you save fuel, spend less time on pit road, and ultimately put yourself in a better position at the end of the race. And then he finished with a jab toward Christopher Bell, saying that if Bell wins a super speedway race, he'll probably turn around and say the package is great. And honestly, there's some truth to that. In NASCAR, opinions often shift based on results. When you're winning, everything feels fine. When you're struggling, suddenly the rules become the problem. When you look at both of these stories together, they show two very different sides of NASCAR right now. On one side, Hendrick Motorsports is dealing with uncertainty around Alex Bowman's health, while Justin Allgaier continues stepping in and keeping the program moving. On the other side, you have drivers like Noah Gragson who believe the sport doesn't need constant changes, that drivers should adapt and race what they're given. Different perspectives, different philosophies, and that's exactly what makes NASCAR so interesting right now. As we head into Las Vegas, these conversations are only going to get louder. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you agree with Noah Gragson that drivers should stop complaining and just race the package they're given? Or do you think NASCAR still needs to keep adjusting things to improve the racing? And what are your expectations for Justin Allgaier in the number 48 this weekend? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I always like seeing different opinions from real NASCAR fans. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video and subscribe. NASCAR Central Race is still a new channel, and the goal is simple: build a strong community of fans who don't just watch the highlights, but actually follow the sport, the storylines, and everything happening behind the scenes. Our first milestone is 1,000 subscribers. So if you love NASCAR news, analysis, and real conversations, hit subscribe and join the journey.